Hey, what's going on? Doc Danny here with the PT Entrepreneur Podcast, and today we're talking about longevity again. This is something that I've talked about a handful of times in the last couple months, and I keep coming back to this because when one of the things that I try to really focus on is the idea of like skating where the puck is going. What is it that I see happening in health and wellness, right? Where we focus and where these businesses exist, that is changing, that is, things are moving towards. And obviously it's not just PT clinics, but just health and wellness in general, healthcare, and physical health and training. And, in 2014, when I opened Athletes Potential, the cash-based clinic that I started with my wife, it was pretty obvious to me that this type of healthcare was, it was trending that direction, right? At the time, I only knew of one other cash-based clinic in the city of Atlanta, but I'd seen more and more of these pop up on the West Coast. And if you notice anything there's a lot of trends that start on the West Coast and they move their way over to the East Coast, whether it be fashion or pop culture, but health in particular is a definite area that you see a lot of sort of early adoption. Sometimes these things that are fads, they just fizzle out, but a lot of times these things start on the West Coast and then they move east. And I had seen a handful of successful cash-based clinics in major cities in California in particular. One of those being, one of my mentors, and one of those being a friend of mine who was down in San Diego. And I felt confident that it was something that we were trending that direction. Now, going forward to now, this is 11 years later. I don't even know how many cash-based clinics are in the city of Atlanta, but when I started I was the second that I knew of, and there's probably, I have no idea, many, dozens, let's put it that way, of clinics. So, I was trying to skate where the puck was going. Now, when we look at trends within that space, things have definitely changed quite a lot. They're far more scalable. They're true businesses. We've seen these businesses grow to, multiple seven figures. We've seen these businesses be able to sell not just to, individual buyers, but to be able to sell to private equity and hospital organizations, which are usually, you wouldn't have thought that would have been the case at all 10 years ago. But that's happening. And it's because they're growing and they're trending in the right direction at that. And one trend that I've been sort of fixated on for the last year in particular is this concept of longevity. And part of it has to do with, I have a training partner that I've been working out with now for like 2 years. And it's just been really interesting to see the health changes this guy has made, because we've been tracking his blood panels. We've been pulling or doing in-body tests, usually once a year, and just looking at what the data look like. He even tracked everything on a Whoop for a year to help dial in some sleep habits and things. And the change that he's made physically, internally on his biomarkers with his blood tests, and just physically what he's capable of doing as far as training is concerned is insane. And people that I meet that are friends of this guy's, they just cannot believe how much healthier he is, how much more physically capable he is, how much better he looks, how much more energy he has, like all these things that we kind of take for granted whenever we are staying on top of our health and wellness. But the good news for us is a lot of people don't understand those things. And in fact, the vast majority of the population does not understand those. But historically, they haven't really been as interested in proactive work. We're very reactive as far as our healthcare is concerned in the U.S., and it's starting to change. And I'm starting to notice that. In fact, I noticed this a few years ago when I started to see a lot of naturopathic physicians move into private practice, and functional medicine, lifestyle medicine. The adoption of those has been very rapid. It's grown a lot. When I was looking for a functional medical doctor years ago, just to be more proactive with my health, it was very hard to find. There was one place in Atlanta that I could go to. It was incredibly expensive. And from there, even from that one office, there's been a number of clinicians that have broken off and done their own things, not to mention people that have just come out of more traditional settings. Even I have family now. My sister-in-law is a fantastic nurse practitioner in the Baltimore area. She legit, working and teaching in fellowship programs, has worked in major hospital organizations like University of Maryland and Johns Hopkins, and has true military trauma experience. She recently, in the last year and a half, has started her own functional medicine clinic, her lifestyle medicine clinic, because of being interested in working with people more proactively instead of getting these super sick people to come to the hospital, and then it's very frustrating. There's nothing you can do about it. But to see that firsthand, that someone who's such a legit medical provider then gets exposed to this sort of more integrative and functional approach, and they can blend the two, it's amazing. It's the type of provider I'm looking for. And I'm not the only one. I'm not the only one, because that industry is growing tremendously. So there's some interesting stats that I pulled just looking at this the other day. Like, what does this trend look like? Where's this longevity trend going? And is this a fad? I don't think that it is. I think this is actually something that is going to continue, and it's a great place for you and your business. And I'll kind of give you an idea of why I say that, because this is, when I'm being a bit redundant about this and I'm beating the drum on this over and over again, I honestly think this is something that, you have time, like you can work into, adding elements of things like this to your clinic. But I do think it will end up being a big part of people's clinic that want to adopt this style of an offer or of work with clients. So when we look at functional medicine clinics right now, the numbers in 2023 is estimated that they account for about $28 billion in total, size of the market, total revenue. So $28 billion is the size of the market. And by 2033, it's expected to grow to roughly $230 billion. So, almost a 10x, like a 9 to 10x growth over the decade. That is a lot. That's an incredible jump in the amount of clinics that they expect, the amount of people that are interested in going that direction. And I would ask you yourself, right? Do you notice this in your own area? Do you notice that people are looking more for this sort of proactive partner for their health and wellness? Are they interested in looking at their blood panels? Are they interested in doing something that looks at their, gut microbiome? Are they trying to have proper supplementation and be proactive about their health? Are they asking you about, things like VO2 max tests and really trying to stay ahead of things? Do you notice more people wearing wearables, Oura rings and Whoops, and tracking their data, these health metrics? And you can have your own opinions on that, but it's generally a good thing, because it means they're being more aware of their health and what they're putting in their bodies and the sleep they're getting and all that. So knowing this, and knowing that it's trending that direction, and knowing that there's gyms and training facilities around the country that are charging $40,000 to $75,000 a year to do work proactively in a number of different sort of capacities with these programs, this is something you have to ask: do you have the skill set to do this? And not necessarily to be a functional medicine practitioner. I'm not saying that. I think that is not our wheelhouse. That is not what we should do. But what we should do is be able to fit in a role where we are the accountability partner, the quarterback of their health and wellness, the people that can understand the different elements of health and nutrition and stress management and sleep, and be that educator and that accountability partner that people need ongoing to really learn how to take care of themselves. And we know that of all the problems people have, the things that are going to stop them from being able to do the physical activities that they want are going to be musculoskeletal pain, right? I mean, it stops people that want to go to the gym from going to the gym. It stops people who want to be more active from being more active. And they end up in our facilities because we deal with injuries. Now, from there, once we realize what the root cause is, it very well could have something to do with the fact that you're not sleeping at all, you're not drinking any water, and you eat, a horrific diet, and you drink a lot. It's not rocket science to say, if you're putting all these negative inputs in the body, what do you expect is going to be the output physically for you as you move around the world? It would be like you putting like terrible fuel in your vehicle and wondering why you keep having like problems with your engine. It's the same thing. So people are more interested in learning about that now, though. And I see it over and over and over again. And even at Athletes Potential, this is something that we are, beginning the sort of build out process of a true longevity ongoing program, an offer that we can have on the back end of injuries that we work with to help them learn how to take care of their body long term. Now, this could be a very simple process where you just work with these people in an unstructured way. I did this for years. In fact, I would pull blood panels through Inside Tracker, and I would have people share their sleep data with me on whatever it is that they wanted to track, and we would talk about some basic changes in what they were eating and hydration, and we would do this along with me sort of updating exercises that they would do. And for some people, I would work with them for years. And we would come in, and sometimes they'd have questions about some stuff they saw on, social media, or they read an article about something and they would ask me my opinion on it. And I could help distill whether, what the validity of those things were, because we understand, how to look at research studies, how to look at whether something is actually like truly valid or something is just sort of like good marketing. For the average person, they don't know that. But net, at the end of the day, if you can help somebody change their health long term, and they want help doing that, they just kind of don't know what they need or where they should go, that is what I consider a blue ocean. It is an area where you have people that are potential clients that are very interested, and you don't have a lot of people serving that audience yet. Not a lot of people serving that audience, I would say, in our community. You have a lot of fringe healthcare things like medical spas, peptide clinics, like very out there integrative and functional medical clinics. I'm not talking about the people that are like legitimately, they have a medical background. I'm talking about, the people that are telling you to sleep with crystals under your pillow or something. Like, if that's your thing, go for it. But like, I probably ain't going to help you much. You might as well just get better sleep, take that shit out of there. And I think that for us, having a like actual medical background, going to an actual accredited school, understanding how to do research, understanding what is safe, what is not safe, like cutting out the bullshit for people and helping them learn the basic skill sets of how to take care of themselves, which you may not know actually. They don't teach this stuff in school to us. And I took this for granted whenever we hired our first staff clinician, and I just expected that she knew this stuff. And she didn't know a lot of the stuff that I was doing. She didn't know how to read a basic blood panel. She didn't know when she needed to pound somebody to primary care or understand this sort of primary care musculoskeletal position that I was in when I was in the military. I just assumed that's what we did as a profession. So there is a learning curve there that can happen and needs to happen if you decide that you want to go that direction. And you maybe don't even need to do that. Maybe you just need to find a functional medicine clinic to be partnered with, where you can really handle more of the movement-based things, and they can handle more of the deeper dive things on the actual like healthcare side. And that's a great combination as well. But either way, being able to put yourself in a position where you have an ongoing relationship with people is fantastic for the clinic. It's fantastic for the clinic. It's great for your business. It's great for the patient. And it's great for you because you get to then have this ongoing relationship with somebody where you're not just trying to solve a problem anymore. So your mental bandwidth is not exhausted as much as just a bunch of evals. You're working with people that are truly like making progress. They're changing their physical health. You're adding years to their life. Honestly, you're adding years to their life. And not only that, but keep in mind, these skills that they're learning, like my friend who I work out with, this was just like, I don't program for him. He just does what I do. He just comes to my garage gym, 6 o'clock in the morning, Monday through Friday. That's what happens. And what I've seen is his entire family is healthier because of it, which is crazy. But at the same time, not really, because we know that kids, what they see is just what they think is normal. So if your kids just see you chain smoking and drinking a bunch of beer, they think that's what's normal. If your kids see you prioritizing your sleep and exercising and getting more movement in and managing your stress, they think that's normal. That's just what they see. So it's what we call a generational health change. So not only are we impacting one person, but we're having a ripple effect across everybody that has a connection with this person. I can't tell you how many people I've met that are friends of my friend who have improved their health because of it. just from him being an example of, oh man, if so-and-so is doing it, like maybe I should look at doing some of this as well, because they trust him, they respect him, and they've seen what it's done for his life as well. So keep this in mind. These are all the positive benefits of you taking a step to really say, okay, I want to start to have a conversation with people after their knee doesn't hurt anymore about what is it that you are interested in doing. How long do you want to be functional for? How long do you want to be able to do the things that you like to do? And really like widening that time horizon for them to help them think long term. Most people are literally just thinking about what's happening next week. And if you can help them think about like, what do you want your life to look like when you're 80 years old? Like, have you ever met an 80-year-old that is just getting around the world, no problem, sharp as a tack, like just living the life that they want to live independently still, and still physically able to do things that they want to do within reason in life? And then at the same time, have you met somebody who is dependent on everybody else around them, can barely move around, and is in many cases probably feels very isolated, depressed, it feels like they need other people to help them all the time, and that's not a great place to be. And as physical therapists, we see the entire spectrum of this. We can relate to this because, I don't know about you, but I've worked with many people that are older, and I've seen people that are on both sides of that, and plenty of people in the middle. And when I think about what I want to be on the functional side of that. I want to be the person that's able to do the things that I want to do with, if I am lucky enough to have grandkids, maybe even if I'm around with great grandkids, I want to be able to interact with them and be around and be physically able to, enjoy the world with them and have the energy to do so. So I make decisions today in my health based on what I'm hoping happens, 40 years from now. And who knows what happens in between. We can't necessarily with certainty say, but we sure as hell can decide whether we're going to put it back into our body, or we're just going to keep taking it out, and based on how we live and the habits that we have. And a lot of people are looking for help with that. So if this sounds like something that aligns with you and your business, I think this is very much an area for you to continue to pursue looking into and thinking about how would you want to work with somebody in this manner. This is something that, like I said, it's something that we plan on testing this year. It's something that I see people in our mastermind already having these conversations with their clients about looking at what they would do. And one size doesn't always fit all. And that's great. And that's what's awesome about having the creativity to do these things. But it's trending that direction. It's happening. Maybe it's a fit for you. Maybe it's not. But this is definitely one of those things where I see where the puck is going. You can skate there if you want. You can continue to do what you're doing if you like that and your business is doing great. Awesome. This may not be the right fit for you, but either way, I think it's worth addressing again because for me, it's just too obvious that this is going to continue to grow and become a bigger part of this sort of non-dysfunctional healthcare system that we have that's very reactive, and people are starting to realize that they're going to have to take that into their own hands if they want to be proactive with their health, and that can be a great place for you to live as well.